Excellent. So I'm going to call to order the meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals. We'll begin with a roll call vote of the people present. Mr. Kindermans.
Present.
Mr. Swaim.
Present.
Mr. Faia.
Present.
Mr. Smith is present. Ms. Akers-Moore may or may not join us. We'll find that out, but we certainly have a quorum and can go forward. Welcome to all of you. There is only one item on the agenda, which is 135 Williams Road. I can at least recognize by some of the names here that you are people who are in Williams Road, so probably here for that meeting, that issue. But if you were attending for some other reason, just know that that's our one public hearing. That public hearing is scheduled for 7:05, which it is not yet 7:05 according to my watch. So we're going to skip briefly to the minutes of our meetings. Yes.
Jim, may I ask you, I had thought that 53 Albert had been postponed to today.
Oh, yeah, no, it's going to be continued. Sorry. So we'll have to call it in this session.
Okay.
So let's do the minutes and then we'll push off with 53 Hubbard. So we have three sets of minutes from August 12th, September 9th, and October 15th. They've been through extensive review. Thank you, Ravi, in particular, for comments. I thought they were fine. I'm happy to entertain a motion for all three of them, or we can discuss individually.
I'm happy to make a motion unless somebody else wants to discuss, but otherwise I will make a motion to approve the minutes of the three meetings that were prepared.
Thank you, Theo.
And as amended.
Yes, as amended with the comments, right? Do I have a second?
I second.
Bobby. Okay, thanks, Tom. All in favor, Mr. Kindermans?
Aye.
Mr. Faia?
Aye.
Mr. Swaim?
Yes.
And Mr. Smith, aye. Okay, those are all approved. Thank you, Tom, for pointing out that that we have to do something with the 7 o'clock hearing. So I'm going to first call for the hearing, the 7 o'clock hearing of David Matheson for a special permit under sections 4221 and 11.6 of the zoning bylaw for two-family dwelling at 53 Hubbard Street. We have information that the applicant would like us to continue that hearing without discussion until the December 9th meeting. If I could have a motion to that effect.
So moved.
Thank you,
Second.
Theo. What's the timing, Heather, on that?
That one's going to be 7 o'clock.
Okay, till 7 o'clock. Great. I had a second. All those in favor, Mr. Kindermans,
Aye.
Mr. Faia,
Aye.
Mr. Smith, aye. Mr. Swaim, we'll get you
Yes.
into. Yeah,
Yes.
okay, good. Excellent. All right. And have we done it? We've gotten to 7:05. Yes. Somebody have a clock?
7-6 on mine.
Oh, great. All right. The next item on the agenda is Mike Bushnell for a special permit under section 7.1.3, 7.1.5, and 11.6 of the zoning bylaw to demolish an existing 1,062-foot dwelling and to construct a 4,944 square foot dwelling that is over 50% larger than the existing gross floor area on a non-conforming lot at 135 Williams Road. To set the stage for purposes of the meeting, the lot is non-conforming because it is roughly a 40,000-ish square foot lot in a 80,000 square foot zone. The house as proposed would meet, and the existing house all meet all the other setbacks. So the single non-conformity is the lot size, frontage, excuse me, frontage and lot size. The applicant is here because if you want to construct a house or make an addition that's more than 50% greater than the current size of the house on a non-conforming lot, you need to apply for a special permit. So with that, do we have somebody who would like to speak for the applicant, Ms. Stone?
Yes, hi, I'm Elise Stone. I'm speaking for Mike Bushnell. So you took most of my presentation. That, you know, I was just going to start exactly why we're here is what you mentioned. So I just also, what I really wanted to emphasize a little bit is, you know, just talking about the FAR for this lot, because it looks like, you know, obviously on paper, we're going from the allowable. So the house is 1,062 square feet. So allowable by right, we could build a house that's 1,593, and that would obviously include the garage. So when you suddenly jump, and I just want to explain the square footage again for the house, because it's a little bit larger, because after we spoke with Ray this week, he wanted us to include square footage in the third, you know, the attic space that was over 6'7". So this attic, it's not, we don't have stairs to it. There's no dormers, but I think because it kind of reflects massing. So Mike Bushnell had given a couple of numbers that were both wrong. So I've done it because I know the house, and it's actually 350 square feet extra. So between the livable square footage of the house, which is 4,275, the oversized garage, which is 670, and then this 350 in the attic space, the total is really 5,295. So, so it's 5,295. But when I want to talk about FAR, because I do feel that sometimes talking about square footage, especially on these kind of you know, going from such a small house to a relatively large house, square footage can be somewhat subjective, right? What is small to someone is large to someone else. So, you know, I was on the planning board. It was the end of my term when we really started discussing the FAR. And, you know, when Concord adopted it, it didn't adopt it lightly. You know, it went through a committee. They studied towns. They really studied Concord to see what would be the best way to evaluate the lots in Concord. And, you know, they came up with the formula that was then voted at town meeting, I believe in 2016. So it's kind of been the standard that what we've been using to kind of evaluate lot size, because, you know, I go to a variety of these meetings, historic and that, it's always a question, right? What is too big for a lot? So, you know, in this lot, you know, it seems like we're making, which we are from house to house, a huge leap, but, you know, this is a close to a 44,000 square foot lot, 43,860 to be exact. And so our allowable FAR by right on this lot is 11,726 square feet. So, you know, this is, you know, we're proposing, you know, over half less than this, 6,431 less than what would be allowable by this FAR that, you know, was a town standard adopted at town meeting. So, you know, in my mind, it's looking at that. Then, you know, I also understand it's kind of the character of this neighborhood. And, you know, if you've driven up and down Williams Road, I live very close there. I ride my bike up, I go there all the time. And it's a very mixed neighborhood in the sense, right? You drive in, there's a farmhouse on the left, there's a colonial on the right, kind of standard 2000 colonial. You know, you go up, there's a couple bigger, and then there is a series of smaller houses, of which this was one. The neighbor of this house, actually, he said his father built these ranches, you know, back in the 40s. And some have been renovated. There's some new capes, etc. But then you pass this house, and on the right, there are two large colonials, you know, on conforming lots. But, you know, then you hit Madison Drive. So I do feel that it's not as if this house that we're proposing would be really out of character with, you know, as you drove down Williams Road. And, you know, we made it kind of more farmhousey. It has a porch. The garage is lower, tried to break up the massing. So a lot of it is in the back of the house. So anyway, that's basically, you know, and I want to quickly point out the setbacks. We've said it's sitting 60 feet back from the road. It is 42 feet from the right side, because that's the closer one to the neighborhood. So we put it over there. On the left side, we're a little closer because that's the garage of the other house. And then we have, 263 feet to the back. So, you could see it's a very large lot. And I believe the neighbor next door has written a letter of support. She doesn't have an issue. And I believe another neighbor on Williams has also, written in support as well. So, that's what I'd like to say, but, I have any questions,
Thank you, Ms. Stone. There, yes, we have received 2 letters from neighbors, which are part of the record and included if you go on the website on the records submitted. Any questions from members of the board before we open it up for public comment?
I'm all set. Thanks.
Yeah, I'd like to hear the public comment.
Okay. Terrific. So why don't we open the hearing for public comment, or open the public hearing. I think there's sort of a raised hand function, but there's not too many of you. So if you just state wildly or even speak, we can probably get you in. Anybody would like to start?
I raised my hand. Good evening, everybody. Gregor McGregor. I live at 70 Williams Road, one of the non-conforming
Mr.
lots.
McGregor.
It's one of the 4 non-conforming lots that the FAR analysis that you're acting on tonight omits. There are 4 non-conforming lots that are not listed in that FAR analysis that's part of the file. Of course, I read the file because it's important. I wanted to know the basis for the application. There are 4 addresses that are not studied. That's important because FAR is important. The floor area ratio was enacted by the town with a reason. There's an as of right feature to it for a reason. There's the need for a special permit to go beyond the as of right building. And in the case of this lot, as with some other lots along the Williams Road that characterize Williams Road, they're non-conforming in at least 2 ways. This proposal is a big house, the biggest one on that side of the road, on an undersized lot with insufficient frontage. So how you decide, and frankly, before you decide, how you apply the floor area requirements and how you apply the special permit criteria to situations where the lots are half the size of what they're supposed to be under zoning, and the frontage is a full 50 feet short of the 200 required, will probably determine how Williams Road goes. So how this application goes, so will go Williams Road. It is true that the conforming lots have big houses, if you will, many mansions. They're quite tasteful. We have friends up and down the road. But the road is not characterized by Madison Drive. It's not characterized by the Blumenberg house. It's characterized by a mix of 1 acre and 2 acre lots, some with wetlands in the back, all within the drainage of Jenny Duggan Swamp that feeds one of our town wells. So it's not just a matter of aesthetics, and I'm urging that you require the analysis that you're going to act on include all the lots along Williams Road when it purports to list all the lots along Williams Road, and especially to require it to include the 4 missing non-conforming lots that contribute to the character and the open space and the bulk and density of dwellings along Williams Road. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McGregor. I think, Heather, that at some point you have the non-conforming and conforming lot list? Is that, did I understand that you were getting that? Anyway, while she's looking at, there we go. Well, not that one. The map is what I was looking for. There you go. So Ray or somebody, can you help us with what this is showing us here?
So the colored lots are all non-conforming lots. I can't see the color code, so one color is for non-conforming by frontage. Another color is non-conforming by area. There you go. So the blue is non-conforming by area. The purple is non-conforming area and frontage. And then the brown is non-conforming by just frontage.
All right, so the lots in question are 135, which is here, 165, one looks like 177. 115 and 99 are conforming, and then at the end of the road that's closest to Old Marlborough Road are a series of non-conforming lots on both sides of the road. And then 196 is also non-conforming, right? So I don't know, it looks like in the applicant's list, they have the non-conforming roads as the houses as the ones that are sort of down in the nearer to Old Marlborough Road. All right, thank you. Just to have that. Yes, Mr. You know, I once knew how to pronounce your last name.
It's Comgene. Yeah, it's an unusual one.
Comgene, thank you.
Very Comgene.
Well, yes, I think that when I was the chair of the planning board, you were in front of us, and I learned then. Thank you, Mr. Comgene. Go ahead.
Thank you, Barrett Comgene, 99 Williams Road. Thank you for allowing me to speak. And I just wanted to echo Mr. McGregor's sentiment about this is not necessarily directed at this applicant or design specifically, but rather the future implications for all the non-conforming lots and the scale and sort of what the change might mean. We live on one of the conforming lots, but we are on that side of the street. And one of the things that I was also going to just ask was for you to take a look at the map and see the non-conforming lots all on that side of the road with the smaller lot sizes. And I would just note also that 132, 124, and 96 are up on a hill, and I think also 176, so they're not really visible from the road. So I think that that's pretty much all that I wanted to suggest, was that when just looking at and I understand that this is a small ranch, and so it's going to have another floor, and it's going to double the footprint, and they're going to add a garage. So all of those do increase percentage-wise significantly the amount over the allowable GFA, 50% increase. But if this sets a precedent for others who may have the same non-conforming lots and have a larger initial square footage, I don't know how that works with the board, and I just wanted to maybe get any insight that you might have. And I know that the bylaws may change, and this is just from right now, but this is one of the first new houses on our road in a long time, and we are obviously excited about improvements to the road, but we're just trying to understand what the implications will be. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Comgene. I'm going to go to Mr. Hartz, or Miss whoever, Denise Hartz. But Mr. McGregor, can you just remind me what your address is, just now that we have the map here?
Yes. We are at 70.
Thank you.
And I should specify that on the other exhibit, not the map, but the list of conforming and non-conforming lots that were analyzed, the following lots are missing. My lot 70, 35 Williams, 155 Williams, owned by Mrs. Hayes, and 177 Williams, owned by the Perrys. small houses, small lots, maybe with lack of frontage as well. Thank you.
Yeah, we got it. Thank you, Mr. McGregor. Ms. Hartz? Did I say that right? You're on mute.
Yes,
ma'am.
okay,
There you go.
okay, sorry. I've never been to one of these meetings, so I don't know the lingo, so I'll try to
Me neither.
follow along.
we're
I had a question
we're-
about the
gonna
FAR.
so I'll give you the first clue is that you always have to state your, just like town meeting,
Oh,
you have
okay.
to state your name and
Okay,
address.
sorry, sorry. Denise Hart's 124 Williams Road. So I'm
Great, thank you.
directly across the street. I can actually see, yeah, I'm on the hill, but I can see the houses there along the road, particularly at night, you know, the lights and stuff. But I had a
Thank you.
question about the FAR and how that works. A statement was just made that it was 11,000 square feet plus of the allowable. That was the, I think, was it Elise said that. But in the paperwork, I saw 6,700, was it 6752, I think was the number. So I don't know where she got the 11,000 and the
So-
paperwork says something else. So how does that work?
Yeah, so I'll give you the quick, it's confusing for all of us because you measure them differently too, but we're dealing with two rules here. All homes on certain size lots. I don't know if the FAR, does the FAR affect 2 acre zoning? I don't, 2 acre lots? Ray, I don't think it does,
Yeah.
does it?
No, the FAR is for every residential lot.
Okay, but by the time you get to 2 acres, it's a big lot.
You're at 20,000
So-
square foot houses.
Right, so the FAR was is a relatively new rule that was passed by town meeting a few years ago. And it applies to all lots, residential lots in town. And it says that you can't have a house that's above a certain size, taking into account the size of the house on the one hand, this ratio, and the lot size itself. And so when, as we've noted here, on a 1 acre lot, that gets you to a very large house. I think Ms. Stone said that we can all debate about what's large and what's not, but I'm going to pretty much say that an 11,000 square foot house is large. So that gets you to a pretty large house. And if you're on a 2 acre lot, it gets you to a 20,000 square foot house. So as you can imagine, the FAR rules were really more designed, and where we run into them as a board are more of the in-town, I'll call them in-town locations, the zone C and B, the half acre and quarter acre and whatever zoning in town. And like you'd see on Devon Street or off of Sudbury Road, that sort of thing. Those large houses in many cases are beyond the FAR. The FAR, it just parenthetically, and it could go on and on, but the FAR is very difficult to violate. The rules are set up in such a way that to go beyond this sort of, if you call it anti-mansionization number, that's extremely difficult to do. Now, set that aside for a second. And the rules that are in front of us that are relevant for this house and all the other houses on those non-conforming lots on Williams Road have to do only with lots that are in fact non-conforming. They're non-conforming because they don't have enough frontage or because they don't have enough area. Sometimes the house itself is in a non-conforming place because the house doesn't meet setback requirements. So that's another reason the house could be non-conforming. And in that particular case, the rules are different, and it's called the gross floor area ratio, or GFA. And that particular rule says that if you have a non-conforming lot and you want to either expand your house or tear your house down and build a new one that's 50% larger than the original house, then you have to come before us for a hearing. So in this case, it's 1,000 square foot house. It could make an addition that would be up to like 500 square feet, But now that it wants to go beyond 1,500 square feet, it needs a permit from the Zoning Board of Appeals. And the FAR in this case is just not particularly relevant. I think that what Ms. Stone was going for was the notion that if you were on a conforming lot, for example, you on 124, looks like you might have a 2-acre
I
zone.
have
So
yeah, I have 4 acres, but a 2 acre zone.
2 acres, yeah. So you can go all the way to 20,000, ma'am. And
I'm
sure
not doing that.
I suspect nobody would ever want to. I think the White House is 34,000 square feet, so you just get an
Yes.
idea. So anyway, that's basically what's
Okay.
going on here.
I
And
have-
I think,
Oh, sorry.
go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I have the same concerns as the last two speakers, that what's gonna happen, because I know that the houses are gonna get tore down and replaced. Because they're not, I mean, lots in Concord aren't very plenteous, and so that's how we're basically building, is tearing down I would call more affordable homes and, putting big houses up. So I suspect that we're gonna see Mr. Perry at 177, which is non-conforming, and it looks like the Hayes's house. I think that's the Hayes's house. No, I think the Hayes's house, which is next door to Perry's. And then we've got the house in question. I think they're all, like all those houses. I really don't have a problem with the house being tore down and something being rebuilt. That's not, I think that that's good for the neighborhood. I just think that the house is large. It's going to be even larger than what I thought before I came to the meeting, based on what Ms. Stone said. So, because they had to put the attic in. And my house, the square footage I saw in the paperwork doesn't seem to match what I thought my square footage was, because I think they must have counted my basement somehow. So it's going to be at least 1,000 square foot more than my house across the street, but I don't know. It just seems really big next to the Hayeses and everybody else on the street. So I guess that's the way things are going, but I think it's going to end up doing that to all the houses and all the lots. So
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Stone, are you trying to jump in there?
Yeah, I just want to respond that it is very hard to say what is a big house and what's the square footage. As you're driving along Old Marlborough Road, that Old Marlborough's changed quite a bit. Now, I don't know if you think of the houses as you drive there, but for example, there's a house that was built maybe 3 years ago, okay, and it's a cape with dormers, okay, that was built on Old Marlborough Road. That's 3,800 square feet without the garage. And there's 2 farmhouses, okay, there's one on the corner of Upland and Old Marlborough with the garage. That would be close, and the attic, that would be very close to this one, just to kind of give you an idea of scale.
Okay.
Like, we're not talking about a house like Madison Drive. We really aren't. And that's why I feel like it is deceptive, because when you look on the cards, you're seeing your living square footage, and they do have an amount for your garage, but most people, most realtors, oh, how big is your house? 3,200 square feet. So here we're saying it's, 53, but that's including spaces that are not normally included. So
okay.
people think 4,000, they think huge, but think of that farmhouse on the corner of Upland and Old Marlborough, okay? That house doesn't appear big as you go. I'm just trying to give you context for massing and scale.
Right. The living area of this house, of the first and second floor, are listed here as about a total of about 4,400 square feet, and then you start adding the garage. Mr. Comgene?
Yeah, hi, Baron Comgene, 99 Williams Road. I just wanted to weigh in that I don't know if it's helpful to the board, but we do have the square footage for the neighbor's house, the Hayes' house, which is 1,900 square feet, and it's not included on the non-conforming list that was submitted for the record by the applicant. Then the Perry's house, which is the next house over, is 1,800 square feet. So both of those houses are less than half the size. There are some capes on the street, but this is going from the smallest house to the largest house on that side of the road, and that side of the road is a large part of what attributes to the feel of the neighborhood or the street. So I just wanted to point that out. Thank you.
Thank you. Other comments? Questions? Yes, Mr. McGregor.
Unmute. Thank you very much.
You were.
I will, the last thing I will say is that this application as it stands before you does not address the criteria in the special permit bylaw. It presents the plan. It presents the statistics. The statistical analysis is missing. And the 4 undersized lack of frontage lots that were supposed to be part of the comparison are missing. We think an application that, for any special permit, of course, and certainly one that asks for an oversized house on an undersized lot that is much smaller than the required frontage, should meet your requirements and address in writing the criteria that you have to apply and not leave it to you to figure it out. There should be a prima facie case made of why this is okay, because this will be a precedent. These numbers will be a precedent. This floor area will be a precedent. It'll be in your face next time from less qualified applicants with less qualified professionals working for them. So, you're the catcher in the rye. First time. See if you can set a standard, or at least a vision, for this stretch 0.7 mile of Williams Road. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McGregor. One thing I'm gonna get to you, Ms. Stone, but one thing I want to raise to the board for its consideration, we're gonna have to get to, is whether we need, whether a site visit is in order here. We have a number of, whether it's raised or not, obviously the issue is the neighborhood character, and we have a couple of letters from nearby people who are in favor. We have presentations from some people who are opposed on neighborhood character grounds. So we may want to make a little go on a visit for this. But Ms. Stone?
Yeah, no, I just wanted to finish. I mean, I would completely agree with a site visit because I do think that's always important to see it. But I just also want to point out that, I mean, yes, it's very important to understand the 2,000 square foot house. I mean, unfortunately, it's like, one of the neighbors said, I mean, people in Concord today want a bigger house. I mean, I've been doing additions now for 30 years in Concord, and, this would be considered a very small house. So I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but it's kind of in terms of what people want on these very expensive lots. And it was very uncomfortable when Riverdale and Southfield started changing, and there was a huge outcry. But I go through that neighborhood now and I still see some of the small capes renovated. You see the bigger houses, and it's fine because the lots are a decent, they're all a good size. And I mean, this is not an undersized lot. It's almost an acre. It's a large lot. So, it's obviously not conforming for AA, but right around the corner in Old Marlboro, it's a 10,000 square foot lot, that's required. So anyway, I just wanted to kind of end with that.
I'm just going to jump in here because I see that there's somebody in this meeting. It's from 66 Seymour Street, according to their thing, and you are more than happy to stay, but 66 Seymour, or the application on Seymour Street has been withdrawn, and so it won't be considered tonight. So just want to let you know that. Okay, other comments? you know, before I close the public hearing, I guess, do we, would the, my sense is that, I guess I would sort of be interested in seeing this thing, not sort of, I would like to see it. Are there others that agree? Yes, Theo's nodding. Bobby,
Yeah,
Tom?
yeah, I know, you know, from a previous case before us, I walked that side of the street. So I think I know it pretty well, but it wouldn't hurt to refresh the memory. I could do a site visit.
All right, so I guess what I agree. I think that it would be very, very useful. So I think what I'd like to do is take any other comments that are here, but to I don't know, I can never remember what the terminology is. I don't know if I'm closing the public hearing or not, but I'll suspend the public hearing at this point, and ask that we continue this hearing, I guess, to a later time when we can have a site visit. Now we're running, it's the 18th and there's Thanksgiving or some kind of holiday in between, and the 9th is our next meeting. So I don't know if people have next week. I think I already heard Theo was gone. That's not good for me. So I guess it would have to be the week of the 1st. And Elise, Ms. Stone, are you gonna be able to like stake it and all that kind of good stuff?
Yes, Mike will stake it. He'll stake the corners and all that. Yep.
Okay.
He'll do that.
Should we just try to send around a poll, Heather, or maybe that's the
Yeah,
thing? Because
I
I'd like to have Ms. Akers more be able to participate as well. That's the plan here, is that we're going to continue the public hearing until December 9th, and in the meantime, try to do a site visit of the board. But I don't want to cut off any other comments. So if there are other people who are here who would like to speak, I'm happy to hear anything. Okay. Yes, Mr. Conjean.
Ben Comgene, 99 Williams Road. I'll keep it brief. I was just wondering if the board, and maybe it doesn't need to be addressed until after the site visit, but I just wanted to understand about the precedent setting. As Mr. McGregor stated, you know, if this was a different builder in a future situation, I think that's more about what our concern is. As we mentioned, it's not necessarily about the designer, this applicant, other than what the scale and what the impacts will be longer term. And I don't know if the board can speak to that, or if that's something that is just subjective or dependent on the individual situation. Thank you.
Sure. I'll give you quickly one person's observation, which is mine, and others can come in. I don't think that there's certainly not a board precedent about this. My observation is that one of the reasons that we look at the conforming and non-conforming lots in this situation, and obviously the key issue here is the neighborhood, and if there will be a detriment to the neighborhood, is to try to understand what the neighborhood could become. If this, just to use an example, if this was a single non-conforming lot in an entire neighborhood of conforming lots that were all 2-acre zoning, I think that the board's history would suggest that they would not be trying to necessarily stop a large house from being built on this single non-conforming lot. Flip it all the way over, we had a situation, the board had a situation about a year or two ago in which every single house on this particular side of the street was non-conforming, and every one of them had been renovated. Most every one of them had been renovated up to the sort of 50% level. And there was an applicant coming in to build a much larger house. And I think the board made a finding that that was not in keeping with the neighborhood. And I can't remember if that was ultimately withdrawn or rejected. In any case, part of it is trying to understand how this home will fit into the neighborhood as it exists. That's part of our job, and whether it goes to that issue. And it is certainly the case that as the neighborhood does in fact start to change over, every time you look at it, you're going to look at a different neighborhood in a sense, with and a different sort of sense of what is in keeping with the neighborhood character or not.
Right, that's very helpful. Thank you for the clarification. I appreciate it.
Ms. Hartz?
Hi, I just wanted to add that I think that the house as it's designed is more in keeping with the houses across the street. On the other side of the road, I know Mr. McGregor's on that side, but I mean, like that, there's a little private road and we've got like 96, 124, 132. I think it's 176. Anyway, so there's those houses on the ridge, I call it. It's going to be more like ours, I guess, up here. So it's not necessarily going to be out of character from our little group of, let's say, 5 houses. It'll be bigger, but not, except for the one next door to me, but it'll be more similar, I guess, than what it will be next to on the other side of the street. Because the houses like Mr. Perry and the Hayeses, they're smaller. So, and this house is going to be next to them. But as far as across the street goes, directly across the street, it's more comparable to us.
Thank you, ma'am.
That's all I wanted to
Yeah.
add. I don't know if that
Yeah.
matters or not, but
It's gonna, yeah, well, that's what's looking at the whole neighborhood, really.
okay.
So, thank you. Okay.
So is it time for a motion to continue?
Go for it. Go for it.
Yeah, I will make a motion to continue the 7:05 meeting for Mike Bushnell for special permit on sections 713, 715, and 11.6 of the zoning bylaw to demolish the existing 1,062 square foot dwelling and construct a 5,295 square foot dwelling that's over 50% larger than the existing gross floor area on a non-conforming lot at 135 Williams Road to December 9th at
This one's gonna be 7:15.
7:15.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, thanks, Robbie. All those in favor, Mr. Kindermans,
Aye.
Mr. Faia,
All right.
Mr. Swaim,
Aye.
Mr. Smith, aye. Thank you very much. Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Hartz, I see your hand raised, but is that just because you haven't pulled down your hand function? There you go. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry.
Excellent. Yeah, no problem. That concludes our business for the evening, having done the minutes. Unless there's anything else from the board.
The withdrawal.
Yeah, you
Or-
have to motion
Oh, we
to
have to,
accept
we
the
have to, we
withdrawal.
have to do the withdrawal. Oh, sorry. Thank you.
Oh,
Okay, Robbie,
Is-
you stepped in it.
Yeah, right. Oh, I think Elise wanted to
Yeah,
say
I just,
something.
so is the site visit going to be the morning of the 9th? Is that usually?
No, it's gonna be we're gonna try to schedule it during the week of the 1st, I think.
Okay, so you'll just, Heather, you'll email
We're
us.
gonna try to do a doodle poll or whatever. We'll try to keep you informed.
Okay, great. Okay.
Yeah, and it won't be next week, so that at least you'll have time to stake and all.
Yeah, to stake it. Yep. Okay, that's great.
Yes, sorry, as asked to withdraw. Okay, so the next matter is the Matthew Hall special permit for 5B Seymour Street. Can we get a motion to, the applicant is asked to withdraw without prejudice. Can we get a motion to accept the applicant's withdrawal?
Yeah, I move to accept the applicant's request to withdraw the application without prejudice for the special permit for the dwelling at 5B Seymour Street.
Great,
So-
thank you. Thank you. So, Mr. Kindermans,
Aye.
Mr. Faya,
Aye.
Mr. Swaim,
Aye.
Mr. Smith, I thank you, Mr. Faya, for keeping me informed, keeping my toes to the fire here. I would have messed up. These people would have been, I don't know, in some kind of land. All right, now I think we're ready. Yes, now we can adjourn. All right,
Moved.
thank you all.
Thank you all.
We will
Happy
see you
Thanksgiving.
sometime. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. We'll see you
Thanksgiving.
shortly after at Williams Road, probably.
Thanks.
Thanks, everyone.
Happy
Bye.
Thanksgiving.
Bye, take care.